Well, I'm at McKee Medical Center here in Loveland with Dr. Patrick Allen, who is the county coroner. And we're really actually at the morgue, Dr. Allen's digs, so to speak. And first question I have for you, Dr. Allen, is what does a county coroner do?
Well, Neil, the coroner is an elected position, an elected office, and our job is to determine the cause and manner of death of people that die under non-natural circumstances or potential non-natural circumstances. So basically we're investigating deaths that are accidental, homicide, suicide, or sometimes undetermined. We're unable to determine why a person died.
I think one of the questions that I would have is, how did you become interested in doing this type of job?
Well, a forensic pathologist is a branch of pathology, which is a specialty of medicine. I graduated from the University of Louisville Medical School in 1971 in Louisville, Kentucky. That's my hometown. And I got interested in pathology at that time. Pathology means the study of disease. We are diagnosticians for other doctors. We diagnose tumors. For instance, if a woman would have a breast biopsy because of a breast lump, it would come to a pathologist such as myself, and I'd look at it under a microscope and see if it was cancer. We're responsible for getting the results back to your doctor and helping him make a diagnosis. So pathologists also do autopsies, and a branch of pathology is forensic medicine or forensic pathology. And I got real interested in that. It's kind of like being Sherlock Holmes.
What happens when you get a call for, an accident or something? How does that all work?
Well, what happens is the call usually comes in from the police department and sometimes from the hospital, but typically it will be the call from a police dispatch to my investigator on call. Every day we have a different investigator on call, and they're completely outfitted with a county vehicle to go out and investigate death scenes. And the vehicles, they're what they are pickup trucks with a shell on them, and they have facilities inside the vehicle to do any death investigation they need to do, including drawing blood or taking trace evidence, and they have to be able to respond to scenes, anything from an avalanche up in the mountains to a drowning to a car crash, death out on the interstate, to a death in a home. And they will respond to the scene as rapidly as they can get there and take custody of the body and anything associated with the body, personal effects, and do the appropriate investigation for that particular type of death.
I know you're very busy in here. How many investigations do you do each year?
We are responsible in this county, Larimer County, for about 850 investigations a year. And of those, we autopsy a certain percentage of people to determine how they died. And on the average, we do 140 to 170 autopsies a year. That's not an average, so the average would probably be about 160 autopsies a year.
A lot. I would imagine most of the accidental deaths are from motor vehicle. Am I correct in assuming that? Or?
Well, there are a lot from motor vehicle accidents, but there are also people that are out hiking and get struck by lightning or fall off a horse or are kayaking or out fishing and drown. So it really runs the gamut of anything possible that might result in an accidental death.
Right, and with those accidental deaths, how many are a result of drug and alcohol? And is that a big problem in Larimer County?
It is a big problem everywhere. We cover, our group, forensic pathologists, is responsible for more than just Larimer County. And over our entire practice, especially in motor vehicle accidents, a large number of them involve alcohol, and a certain high percentage also involve drugs. But alcohol is really the big thing for motor vehicle accidents.
Well, as you probably noticed, we're in the morgue, and I've been kind of glancing at the tools over there, and they look like surgical tools, but one thing that caught my eye was the couple of pairs of pliers. Could you tell us what the pliers are for?
Sure, I can. Well, first of all, you're right, Neil. These are surgical instruments, and they're the same type of instruments that are used in surgery every day. And, of course, these aren't used in surgery. Some of them we actually inherited from surgery, but once they're in here, they stay in here. They don't go anywhere else. But there's nothing wrong with getting things from the local hardware store either, because they're things that are used in everyday practice here in the autopsy room. We've got a tape measure, and that's good for recording the heights of the deceased people. You mentioned the pliers. These are just regular slip joint pliers that you can buy at Ace Hardware or wherever, and they're used for retrieving bullets sometimes out of bodies, or for stripping away membranes that we need to, actually in the skull is where we use these most, to strip away membranes to look for skull fractures. And squeegee like you might use on your windows. It's good for us cleaning off the tables afterwards because everything is cleaned up. And, toothbrush. We need to chart dental work for identification of bodies from time to time to make an identification in an unknown individual.
You know, another question that comes to mind, CSI and Quincy from my generation.
Mine too.
Yeah. How much is real and how much is fabricated? Is that the life of a coroner, or is it kind of a little bit different?
Well, it's TV, it's Hollywood, and what we have now is we have the CSI phenomenon, and that is everything is high priority, and toxicology results are back within the hour, and the case is solved within the hour, and they're doing all of these million-dollar tests. Everything that you see being done on CSI can be done, but in the reality of day-to-day work in law enforcement and in the medical examiner's office, those things are not utilized all the time. But it's all realistic in that it's possible. It's just a matter of whether the case demands it or not and how much money is available.
Can you tell us a little bit about the criteria used to determine what type of deaths that you investigate, and what determines an accident versus natural death?
Sure, that's a good question. Neil, the requirements and the statutes for a coroner's office are to investigate deaths that are not natural deaths. So we are investigating anything that is not a natural death, which includes all accidents, suicides, homicides or suspected homicides, or persons who die under undetermined circumstances, any skeletonized remains, any unidentified remains, any situations in which the cause of death or the manner of death may be in question, which may result in some examinations of natural deaths as well. People that die in the hospital within 24 hours generally fall under coroner's jurisdiction. People that die during surgery or unexpectedly during a hospital procedure fall under coroner's jurisdiction. And so all of these things are at least potentially looked at. As I said earlier, we are investigating 850 or more cases in this county a year, and many, many more are reported to us. The hospitals report all deaths to us, essentially, and then we can decide whether or not it's going to be even investigated by our office. And then of the ones that are investigated, we, again, probably perform about 160 autopsies a year.
I would guess this is somewhat of a high-stress job. I mean, just knowing what you do. So what do you do for fun? And what do you do when you're not doing this?
Oh, I like to ride my Harley Davidson around. I do a lot of bow hunting. I'm a traditional bow hunter. And I enjoy many outdoor sports, hiking and running. And before my knees gave out on me, I used to be a triathlete. But it doesn't look like that anymore. But I did enjoy doing things like that.
Well, Dr. Allen, thank you very much for allowing us the privilege of being here.
Sure, my pleasure.
This has been absolutely fascinating, so thank you very much.
Certainly.